Hello everyone, my name is Daniel and I'm just a casual racer. Today I'll be ranking the top 10 GT racing games. This list isn't an overall review of these games, but rather a focused look through the lens of GT endurance racing. It is important that these games include lots of GT cars, such as those found in the GT3, GTE, and GT4 classes, among others. The top games will also include GT endurance racing's most frequented and famous tracks. Finally, in order to earn a top ranking on this list, a game will need to provide a great driving experience for force feedback wheelbase users. Number 10. Forza Motorsport C+. Forza Motorsport just makes this list over titles like Rennsport, GTR2, and Assetto Corsa Evo, the latter of which is currently in an alpha state, because of its current-gen visuals, solid AI, active online lobbies, and a packed full GT content list including the Endurance Triple Crown along with essentially every major endurance racing track. Forza Motorsport's biggest weaknesses are the game's force feedback and overall driving experience when using a wheelbase. Ultimately, Forza Motorsport provides a solid, albeit simcade, GT endurance racing experience with its greatest appeal to console and controller users. Number 9. Gran Turismo 7 B-. Gran Turismo has impressive audio visuals and a great multiplayer scene if you're willing to pay for PlayStation Plus. The content list is solid, although missing a few major endurance racing venues, it has one of the largest lists of GT3 race cars, including many what-if brand exercises with major manufacturers. Some may find this inflated selection of cars appealing, while others will entirely disregard any fictional GT3 cars. The driving experience in GT7 is a solid step up from Forza Motorsport, but unfortunately still doesn't measure up to any of the following 8 games when using a force feedback wheelbase. The AI is one of the game's weakest points. Even if you avoid the strung-out racing found in the career mode and many default races, it is still difficult to get any sort of good racing from the AI, even when you try to pack the grid as close as you can. Ultimately, Gran Turismo 7 is only available on PlayStation, and it is a nice option for users on that console, but it just doesn't really match up to the remaining GT-focused titles on this list. Number 8. Project Cars 2 B. Project Cars 2 approachable but generally realistic driving experience served as a gateway into sim racing for many in the community for the last 7 years. The game is visually stunning with a beautiful full-featured weather system, and although the physics can be inconsistent across the large amount of content in Project Cars 2, the GT cars do tend to be very well done. But Project Cars 2 has a great selection of GT racing cars, and many of the top GT endurance racing tracks are included. Although Project Cars 2 is no longer available for direct digital purchase, it is available still on Steam key sites, and of course you can purchase a disc if you're on console. The current lack of availability for Project Cars 2 has led, however, to a decrease in the online multiplayer lobby participation, and in addition, the continued excellent development of Project Cars 2's spiritual successor, Automobilista 2, makes it harder to rank this title any higher up the list. Ultimately, Project Cars 2 is a great entry into sim racing, but unfortunately is destined to continue to fade into history, essentially as a victim of expiring licenses. Number 7. RFactor 2 B. RFactor 2 appears to have entered the end of its life cycle as well, as Motorsport Games has begun to allow its licenses to lapse and the content is slowly becoming unavailable to purchase for newer players. This unfortunately includes the critical circuit de la Sarthe, which hosts the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I've actually covered this topic in a recent video, which you could check out next. RFactor 2's official content has some of the most inconsistent quality you'll find in any racing game. The newest and latest content, though, is good, albeit expensive, and there's a nice selection of GT endurance racing cars and tracks. RFactor 2 does support modding as well, although on a much smaller scale compared to Assetto Corsa. The game still delivers one of the best driving experiences of any racing game with excellent force feedback. This is the same physics engine used in Le Mans Ultimate, which features higher in this list. Ultimately, RFactor 2 showcases an exceptional driving experience hampered by inconsistent quality, with its GT content being entirely eclipsed by Le Mans Ultimate. Number 6. Assetto Corsa B+. Assetto Corsa has the largest library of content available to any sim racing game if we were to consider the incredible modding scene that accompanies it. Although the default track selection is underwhelming for GT racing, AC does include a decent number of GT3 cars to enjoy. AC has a deep PC skill learning curve though in order to mod and upgrade and extract the best visuals, advanced physics, and generally you're going to need to know who the better and more quality mod creators are versus those who just produce pretty cars with garbage physics. The physics in Assetto Corsa, while using extended physics provided by Custom Shaders patch, are top quality, some of the best of any sim racing games. Unfortunately, there just aren't that many mods that fully take advantage of this. Meanwhile, the default GT cars in Assetto Corsa provide a solid, but not really an exceptional driving experience. There are some online services and of course racing leagues for online multiplayer play, but the title is not the best for quick pick-up online racing. For offline players, the AI is very outdated, and one of the last big weaknesses of this title that we do not really have yet a fix for is in regard to the AI. Currently, the UI, physics, and visuals have been patched and are able to be increased to incredible levels with Content Manager, Custom Shaders patches I've already mentioned, and Pure. For the experienced Assetto Corsa user, this game could easily be ranked as high as number 4 on this list. But GT endurance racing in AC can be a bit underwhelming for those on consoles who cannot use mods or those who aren't as comfortable diving into their computer files. Ultimately, Assetto Corsa is a very difficult title to rank on this list, as users can have a drastically different experience with the sim. However, for those willing to dive into the deep end of the modding scene, Assetto Corsa provides an unmatched amount of GT racing content. Number 5. iRacing, B+. iRacing has many features, such as its groundbreaking AI and online experience that are just unmatched by other racing games. There are multiple online GT classes and series to race within, and iRacing's renowned, structured online racing ecosystem and large active player base is just unmatched by any other title on this list. iRacing has a vast library of content that includes all of the major endurance racing venues and cars. Unfortunately, iRacing's road course physics are beginning to show their age, and recent updates to iRacing's dated tire model have only revealed further inconsistencies within iRacing's physics engine. iRacing is prohibitive for many in our community due to the expensive financial commitment required to purchase content and pay for iRacing's monthly subscription. Ultimately, iRacing is only really suitable for the most serious of sim racers who want to race at any time against full online lobbies and get the most in-depth online experience available, which it certainly provides. Number 4. RaceRoom, B+. RaceRoom is an extremely solid title, performing well across the board, although not really leading in any specific category, except it does have industry-leading sound and audio for its engines and road-going noises. RaceRoom recently had its visuals updated to a similar level as like iRacing, so, mid-tier for most racing games, and also features a top-tier driving experience with great force feedback and excellent physics. Although free to play, much of the GT content will need to be purchased. RaceRoom includes GT1, GT2, GT3, GT4, GT Classics, and Cup classes, which can all be raced across your own offline custom championships. The online scene is reasonably active in Europe, but not nearly as much around the rest of the world. The GT endurance racing track options are unfortunately a bit lacking, and several important tracks like Le Mans and Sebring are not available. Ultimately, RaceRoom just isn't quite focused enough on GT endurance racing to beat the top 3 sims on this list. But overall, RaceRoom is a top-tier racing title with essentially zero flaws. Number 3. Automobilista 2, A. Automobilista 2 has focused on aspects that appeal to the mainstream gaming market, such as elite graphics, easy to create and join online lobbies, and a huge sim racing library of cars and tracks. This library features the most diverse and complete set of GT endurance racing content out of any of the top-ranked titles on this list. GT1, GT3, GT4, GT5, GTE, GT Classics, Cup classes, and even more. Although the physics are a slight step down from some of the other titles on this list, the sheer amount of quality GT endurance racing content is the best of any racing game, not counting mods of course. AMS2 includes every major endurance racing venue, including of course all 3 Triple Crown tracks. The visuals are top tier with fantastic weather effects and scheduling options. AMS2's custom championship mode allows for some of the most in-depth offline racing available, and AMS2 also features active online multiplayer lobbies. This title really has something for everyone. Ultimately, AMS2 is the perfect entry title into sim racing, and it has all the mainstream GT endurance racing content one could dream of experiencing. Number 2. Assetto Corsa Competizione. A. Assetto Corsa Competizione is the gold standard for racing games. Featuring the best online multiplayer scene outside of iRacing, top-tier audiovisuals, and top-tier AI, ACC provides an excellent driving experience with great force feedback. In terms of content, you have your pick of GT4, GT3, GT2, and a couple of cup classes to pick from. These cars all provide unique, deep driving experiences, and the differences between the classes is sublime. ACC is the officially licensed GT World Challenge racing game, which requires ACC to feature only GT World Challenge content. Although this provides many incredible car classes and tracks, it is also the reason that ACC finds itself in the runner-up position on this list. You're not going to find a single endurance Triple Crown venue in this game. There's no Le Mans, no Daytona, no Sebring. Many of the other major endurance racing venues are also missing from this title. The good news is that the content that is included in the ACC showcases the highest degree of quality and detail while remaining reasonably priced. Ultimately, Assetto Corsa Competizione is an incredible driving simulator that has been the best GT racing game for years and continues to be a top option for those who want an extremely realistic and immersive GT racing experience. Number 1. Le Mans Ultimate. A. Le Mans Ultimate is the best GT racing game as of January 2025. It features the full list of 2023 through 2025 FIA World Endurance Racing tracks and most of the GTE and GT3 cars from those seasons. If LMU included Daytona and a couple more top endurance racing tracks, I would give it an A+ score. LMU is propelled to the top of this list by having the best driving experience and the best physics of any sim racing game. The audio visuals and the AI are top tier, with both taking huge step-ups from RFactor 2. This game is early in its development phase, and it already finds itself at the top of the list despite being a little bit rough around the edges as an early access title, and I know the newer online subscription options are worrying to some in the player base, but what we have is a sim engine that Studios 397 stripped down from the RFactor 2 engine down to its core and rebuilt it into a thing of beauty. If you are a GT endurance racing fan, the future potential of this title is mouth-watering. Ultimately, Le Mans Ultimate pairs the best sim racing physics engine with the top endurance racing series in the world to bring us the best overall GT racing experience available today. So, did I end up leaving any GT racing games that you prefer off this list? Or perhaps you have a favorite that you think should be ranked a bit higher? Let me know down in the comments. I know a lot of you are going to mention perhaps that you're just tired of the absolute focus that the sim racing community kind of has right now on GT racing. You know, is that something would you prefer to race open wheelers or perhaps historic cars? I know sometimes I fall into that camp myself. Let me know and we can chat about it down below. Of course, I hope this video was helpful and just giving you kind of an overview of the GT racing options that exist. But most of all, I hope that every single one of you has a fantastic rest of your week.